Hello and welcome to today's edition of Beyond the Ordinary Show, you all. Today we are on with the amazing Ana Maria Vasquez, and there's some tenderness and strength coming into today's call. There's vulnerability and deep wisdom that's being integrated, and I really see Ana Maria as so uniquely capable of guiding us through these currents um, that so many of us are navigating in our own individuated expressions of similar themes that may be coming up. I've been having conversations with other speakers who you probably know from Beyond the Ordinary Show, and whenever I mention some of the experiences that I'm having, they're like, yes, 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 and I think it's so unique to me, and it is in my own way. But there's a collective acceleration, grounding, and expansion that's happening simultaneous um, to these individual experiences. And Anna Maria, I know, is going to speak to the heart of that and so much more. And we are going to talk about the trees as messengers and what do they have to share? How do we connect with them? What is it in that ancient technology that we have more access to as well. And what are we ready to receive? So again, it's going to be a deep, amazing call. And I want to go ahead and dive in. So with that introduction, Anna Maria, welcome to today's call.
Oh my goodness. I always have so much gratitude to you for the
Mhm.
platform you've created so that we can have these conversations. And this time is no exception, right? We
Mhm.
feel the bigness of the time we're living in. And again, the ancient wisdom of the trees, who are essentially time travelers, to share with us what we
Mm.
need to survive these times. There's no better company for us to be in than with the trees right now. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Well, I would say that there is equal company in our conversation today, and that is you, because I actually want to take us about 13 years back.
Oh boy.
It's about the time that I met you. It's before I started Beyond the Ordinary and before you started going out in public in this particular way. And there's been so much stepping into our gifts and expression, authentic expression and just essence that can't help to be held back. It just can't. It's like this overflowing cup that has to be shared. But I want to talk a little bit first about your journey. What's because so many people on the call is like, I want to share my gifts more. I want to be more vocal. I don't know how to utilize it. It's part of my passion. I know it's part of my purpose, but I don't know how to identify. And I hesitate. I don't know how to use my voice, or it's not being received. What's been your journey as far as even talking to trees as messengers and animals as guides and connecting to spirits? And how have you seen that evolve to where you are now?
Well, I'm going to share my origin story of talking with trees, and even as profound and prolific and amazing as it is, and mystical and magical, I still ran into all of those things that you said,
Mm.
right? I still was like, "Oh, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm not sure who I'm supposed to be sharing this with. I don't know where they're going to come from." So I want everybody who feels that to kind of exhale and listen in, because we also are like, well, maybe if I had this like groundbreaking experience, it would be different, right? And I'm about to tell you, it's just our human conditioning for riding these kinds of waves. So I had gone through this major life tsunami, right? Where in the span of 18 months, I lost my job, I lost my partner, I lost one of my soul dogs, I actually lost my home.
Mm.
And so all of that in the span of 18 months. And so as I sit there in the ashes that were my life, going, now what am I going to do? I started reaching out and saying, I don't want to just come back and do it the same way. If I'm going to do this again, if I'm going to stay here embodied, then I want to do this differently. I want there to be a deep, profound connection. I had always been connected to animals, but I would have never called myself an animal communicator, first of all, because that wasn't even a word when I was growing up. It
Mm.
certainly wasn't an offering on career day. And so I didn't know, but I knew that I had that connection. So I had been given an assignment by a spiritual teacher to go out into the forest and find a tree that was willing to work with me and spend 30 minutes with it for 30 days. And I had to put my hands on it. And I honestly, right, my humanness was like, what is this teacher talking about? Right? Like, I want to talk to
Mm.
animals. Why is she sending me out in the woods? And I thought, I'm a good student, so I'll do this. But I'm pretty sure she just is giving me busy work because she doesn't know what the hell to do with me. And so I'll do it if for no other reason than to say I did it and it didn't work. So every day, the first 3 weeks, I'm going outside, putting my hands on this tree, and basically just telling it, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know if I'm touching you inappropriately. I don't know how this works.
Mm.
And for 3 weeks, that's all it was this crazy girl standing in the woods with her hands on a tree talking to it. I wasn't having hallucinations. I wasn't hearing anything. Nothing was happening. And somewhere in the fourth week, I was actually in my living room and I asked a question out loud, just a rhetorical question. And I don't even remember what the question was because what happened next was so transformational that it changed everything in my life. So I asked
Mm.
this question and I hear an audible answer from outside of my head. And this is the weird part. It feels like it's coming from outside, and it feels like it's coming from the tree that I'd been accosting for 3 weeks at this point. And I stand up and I look out the window and I go, is that you? And I hear, yes. And immediately, right? Like our human conditioning is so strong and it's always so embarrassing for me to admit this part. But the natural next thing that came out of my mouth was, I asked to talk to animals. I don't know what to do with a talking tree.
Mm.
And I heard a chuckle. The tree chuckled at me in a very loving way. It wasn't like bullying. It was like, oh, you're cute, you human, right? And they said, that's coming. This is a recalibration process, which is funny now, right? Because I talk to trees all the time. I help other people talk to trees. But at the time, my paradigm, I didn't know any better. And even with that lightning bolt experience of a friggin' tree starting to talk to me, and I
Mm.
put it through the processes. I for the next month, I tested out what it would tell me and if I could trust it and find an answer and things like that. But even with something so profound, I still have experienced in the 15 years of my professional career doing this, I have experienced self doubt, lack of confidence, wondering where are my people, right? And so everybody thinks, well, if I could just have one of those experiences, then it wouldn't be like that. But the truth is, we're humans and we have human conditioning and programming that we're all overcoming. And self doubt is one of our biggest pieces. And spending time with trees is one of the number one prescriptions for reducing your self doubt because they help you return to yourself. They help you return to the truth of who you be. And so every time I experience self doubt, and I'll tell you one thing, now 15 years forward, my experience with self doubt is a very different experience than 15 years ago. I'll feel it and go, oh, there's that old friend. And I know to doubt it, right? I know to doubt the doubt. I'm practiced. I've worked that muscle. Doesn't mean it doesn't try and whisper in my ear, but I know enough. Like, that's probably a lie. Okay, let's just put it over here so that I'm aware of it, right? So my mind can stop yapping about it. And then let's see what else might be true. But the truth is, that's part of our human condition. And the only way through it is through it.
Right. I love you sharing that experience. And again, the only way through it is through it. And I appreciate your journey of skepticism and the assignment that you were giving, but your willingness to devote time to discover, to be curious about what might arise. Even though the skepticism was there, something was still guiding. It's like, I'm going to be here. There's someone that I trust that told me to do this. Okay, they might be giving me busy work, but let me show up, which is wonderful. My first like real like lightning bolt experience of trees, I was living in Houston, Texas for the longest time. I wasn't surrounded by a lot of nature. I grew up in New York City. I was used to the concrete jungle and all that, and we'd go camping every once in a while, but that was mostly traumatic than it was nurturing in the way that we did it. Between getting lost for many hours on the road to raining in the campsite and all kinds of things that just didn't make it the most amazing experience with unexperienced campers. But from Houston, I traveled out to Yosemite National Park for the first time ever. Up the drive, get to the park, and surrounded by these redwood trees, and I just feel them, and my heart just opens up, and I have to go put my hands on them, and I ask permission. I knew enough to ask permission, and I can feel the vibration. I can feel the fast spin of the young trees, the slower spin of the 200-year-old trees, and their presence and rootedness, and it forever changed it changed my life because the innocence and the openness to discover is what connected me to something much more profound than anything I'd ever been taught before. And so there's so many different ways to get there. And what you do, and you help so many of us, is to reconnect to different kingdoms that are allies for us as we are for them, because they're also teaching that we are allies. It's a co-dependent relationship, if you will,
It's in the
um,
highest sense.
in the highest sense. Um, so it's wonderful the wisdom and the love that we get to integrate by just being in presence and stillness and being willing to listen to the wisdom and receive feedback with an open mind and heart. Um, I want to give you all a little bit of background with connection with trees, and we're going to get to it in a little bit. But I want to fast forward now, Anna Maria, into the transition that 2025 has been. And you called it on the show last time, and what we're stepping into and what you're witnessing, what you have learned personally, and what you're sharing with people in your community and how we're moving forward.
Holy cats, right? Like we are all walking each other home, and 2025 is showing that,
Indeed.
about this time last year, even a little bit earlier, I was in the listening, right? For the beginning of the year, for predictions and
Mhm.
all of those things. And I was like, oh boy, this is going to be a big one. And I would say it, right? Like no one's going to be unscathed this year. We'll all be touched by the transformation and kind of like half like, what's that going to mean? And holy cats, it's been
Mm.
insane. I'm not someone who blames astrology for things, but I am someone who will look to astrology to help me understand what the heck is going on here.
Yeah.
And in this year, as your folks know, because you bring in so many wonderful people that know this, every single planet changed signs or will have changed signs by the time we get through this. Most of them have done their dance already. Um,
Mm.
and it is a big deal for any one of us if one planet changes signs. So for all of them to change signs this year, this is huge. And most of us, none of us have been alive since this happened. We probably had other lifetimes when it happened, but this year, 2025, is all about us getting clear on what it is we are not willing to take forward with us any
Mm.
longer. What do we need to put down? What do we need to stop creating in our lives to move forward in a big way? Because it's a completion year, and next year is a 1 year, which is going to be new opportunities, new possibilities. And the stakes, for decades, it's been great to be a listener, to be a seer, to have these abilities, right? Like it's been more like, oh, it's kind of nice to have that. But we're at
Mm.
a point in our history and for us in our lifetimes where that is not just a nice thing to have anymore, but it's like a first aid kit. We
Yeah.
need to be connected. It is imperative that each of us know how we receive the information, right? Is it multisensory? Is it you see, you hear, you feel, what is your well-worn path in there? And then can you also develop the other ones? Because we
Right.
all need, I mean, all of this side, that side, it's all nonsense. And we are being pushed into listening for ourselves, what's
Mm.
true for us, so that we can go forward. And the trees, especially, have been waiting for us to remember. I mean, trees are anywhere, from a few decades into thousands of years old, and they
Mm,
hold the intelligence of the earth herself, right? Through the World Wide Web that we've got going on underneath the Wood Wide Web that connects all of the trees. And the fact that scientists never understood why stumps of trees would be kept alive, we believe, and I've been told by the trees, it's because those allies hold ancient wisdom. They have
mm,
information to share with the younger trees and to share with us, but we've forgotten, right? And so they're invested in us to remember, because when we remember, we live very differently. And the trees are really the ambassadors for when we all do better, we all do better.
mm,
Because trees themselves, they don't do well when they grow in these weird sterile lines like plantations of a single species that our lumber industry, perpetuates. They grow better in clumps. They will naturally clump together and share information between species. And
mm,
we, for some reason, as humans, find that hard to do in our lives, to share information between species. And yet it's so natural. And look at, I mean, the big piece that forest bathing has become in the world. I mean, I see classes for it all the time, and I'm so grateful, right? The humans are remembering to go outside. But the forest bathing is only one part of the intuitive development cycle that we're being drawn into. Because what will happen is first we come up to a tree and we're in awe, right, of its beauty, of
mm.
its energy.
Right.
And we're like, oh, we love you. And then eventually, if we spend enough time connecting, then we start to feel it back. We start to feel the back of something coming back. And almost everybody describes it as this overwhelming love that came from this tree, and being a little perplexed, right? Because we barely get that from other humans, let alone a tree. And
Mm,
then what happens? We get so excited that we felt that, but we're moving towards a back and forth where we put something out and the tree comes back. And it's not just us asking, gimme information, but us asking, what do you need? What space can I
mhm,
hold for you? And the people who come to me are typically those folks. They're the ones that are always like, I don't want to just take. I know
mm,
we got the giving trees, but I want to give back. How can I hold the space with the tree? And they're just reminding us of all of this ancient wisdom and a different way to walk on this land and to walk our paths where we are absolutely connected and remembering unity consciousness.
mm. So beautiful. Well, y'all, we're going to get into live readings with Anna Maria. So again, you guys, you can raise your hand, type questions into the chat box. We're going to go deep into readings, and Anna Maria's like, she's ready for readings today. She's like,
Chomping
I
at the
want to do
bit.
readings. I'm
And
excited about
it's
it.
true, right? Like, so if they have specific questions about their own stuff, that's great. Or if they don't know, just what do the trees have to tell me? Totally. The
Right.
trees all afternoon were like, I'm going to talk about this. And I'm like, okay, you guys, just like put it in a basket somewhere because I got to clean my house.
Oh my God, so amazing. So there's a few things I want to talk about. I want to get into particular trees in a second because I have an experience that I want to share and I'm curious about your take on it. I want to talk about the transition of 2025 into 2026 also from a power animal perspective because again, 2025 is the year of the snake. A lot of reconciliation with who we're becoming and letting go, whether that was through awareness, looking back to see where you graduated from, bringing things into balance, forming healthy standards for where we're going next, and not acquiescing to the ways that we've done things. And again, in that shedding of the skin, something new emerges. We're stepping into the year of the horse, and it's a fire horse. What's your awareness of the horse as a guide and spirit animal in that way, and what's it calling forward in us as we move ahead?
And it's so interesting, right? Like, so that snake piece too, a couple more pieces with the snake, it has to let go of the old or it'll die. It can't grow.
Yeah,
So we got to let it go. The other thing that happens with snake, when they're shedding its skin, it goes blind. There's this cloudiness that comes over its eyes and
I
it
didn't know
has.
that.
I know, right? When the first time I learned that, I don't even remember what shaman taught me that. I was like, "What?" And they were
Wow.
like, It has to rely on its other senses. So right away,
We were
right?
just talking about
We
that.
in 2025, we can't see what's going on and it's driving us batshit crazy because we can't see it. And it's like because we're meant to tap into the other our other senses. And the other animal that came through very strong for 2025, and the one that I really worked with my groups, was owl, because it's about
Mhm.
navigating in the dark, in the mystery, right? And using, again, more of the senses than we normally use. Going into 2026, the fire horse is one of the animals, but the other animal is fox. So with fire horse, you're talking about transformation, but there has to be balance, right? Like I'm always saying, if you get on a horse and you're not balanced, you're not going far, you're just going down. So we
Yeah.
got to get balanced in order to have big forward movement. And that fire is purifying everything. Only the truth is going to move forward. If we
Mhm.
choose that, we have to specifically choose that. The other animal, and the one that I'll be sharing with folks for 2026, is fox. And fox is all about getting clear on like what are you focusing on, right? If you're looking for magic and miracles, you're going to find it. If you're looking for
Mhm.
what's wrong, you're going to find that. So miracles and magic being everywhere and looking for it, that's what
Mhm.
Fox is showing us, and how to be camouflaged in the times that we need art to be camouflaged in things.
Right.
So there's all of these pieces that are pushing us to choose transformation, and then to stand in magic, to stand in the power of miracles and magic. And
Mm.
that magic is within us. It's not something out there. And that's what the trees, that's what the animals are pointing us back to. It's all within us. They're showing me the Wizard of Oz, like the power was within you the whole time. Everyone should get ruby
Wow.
slippers for 2026.
We'll order the rhinestones for our tennis shoes now. We'll start decorating them. A vision that I had many years ago that a horse was coming in very strongly, and I think it firmly applies for what's coming up as well that I want to share. In the vision, it was showing me running like a horse and running and sprinting, and other horses surrounding me. And if other horses happened to pass me by, that was okay. We're just like taking turns in the run. I can always look to the side and see who was there, but I couldn't worry about who was behind me because a horse that's running, if he tries to turn around and look behind him, he's going to stumble and fall over. So, and that's part of the medicine for a horse coming up in the next year. We can't look back. Every time we look back in that way, we're going to stumble. We're going to have to get back, learn how to get back up, and we're going to fall behind based on where we could have been. Also, leading as part of an energetic herd
Yes.
because we support each other in that leadership component of it. Horses naturally attuned to leadership. They don't, there's not a vote, or it's who's capable at this time, and that's what happens.
And horses, my partner, my Zen cowboy James, he loves to talk about this. A horse's heart center, first of all, their heart is huge, right? And when we approach a horse, we are at heart level. When
Yeah.
we get within 6 feet of them, they can already feel our energetic field. And it's
Mm.
all about heart healing, right? This transformation that's coming in 2026, that each of us has the opportunity to choose, but we have to choose it, is going to come from the heart. It's not about figuring it out, right? It's about being in heart coherence and making those changes and those shifts from the heart. And I will
Mm.
tell you, these are trying times that test us choosing love and not fear. That's the whole
Absolutely.
purpose of this ridiculous puppet show going on. What are you going to choose? Love or fear?
The puppet show. I love that you named it that. That's so perfect. Um, Y'all, we're gonna get into trees as messengers here, and again, we're getting into live calls in a second. A couple of questions, but before we dive in, um, you mentioned earlier how we can give back to trees. It's one thing to receive and the giving tree and to go and get knowledge. What's the reciprocation, the circuitry in exchange that's possible, and how do we approach that?
So the first thing is always, and one of the first things Tree said to me was, humans are cute and adorable, but they're like toddlers, right? Like we have no freaking manners. We just walk around, we touch and we take and we don't know better, right? Like who taught us? No one taught us. So the first thing is always to ask permission, right? I have run into trees that had no interest in working with me, and in my humanness, right, I was offended, but the truth was that tree already had something it was doing, and they actually were then moving me onto a tree that was better suited. So the first thing is to ask permission. And so how do we know, right? Sometimes it's I'll look out and I'll just be drawn to a tree. I don't even know why, or a certain tree will kind of light up for me. So when I get to the tree, then I say, I would love to work with you. Are you interested? And then, depending on how people circuitry are, you're either going to feel heavier or lighter, right? Heavier is a no, and
Yeah.
a lighter is a yes. Or if you lean forward, that's a yes. If you lean backwards, it's a no. You can
Mhm.
muscle test, you can douse, whatever your thing is, but find out, right? You need to know. You can even practice this at a restaurant, right? Like reading through the menu, what's a yes, what's a no for you. We got to know our full body yeses and we got to
Mm.
know our full body nos. This is the only way we're going to navigate the next couple bumpy years here. So,
Yeah.
first we come up to a tree. Does it want to work with us or not? Again, don't take it personally if they say no. Just move
Mhm.
along till you find one that says yes. And then the beautiful thing about a tree is when you look at a tree, right, the trunk, and then you've got the canopy, the drip line of a tree is known as its natural auric field. So if you're standing under a
Mm.
tree and it starts to rain, right, you'll see that the underneath the canopy stays dry for a while at least. That's the drip line. And so when you're in there, you are in the tree's auric field. This is huge. This is like coming up to the horse, right, at heart level. You are in that field and it's so strong. So if you put your back up against the tree, you and the tree are recirculating this energy. This is phenomenal. Again, we've been talking about horses. So if you've breathed with a horse, right? They breathe out, you breathe in, and the power that you feel, it's the same with the tree. So once you connect with the tree, they've said yes, you come in. I always like to start with what is it I can hold for you? Sometimes they show me a color, an energy. Sometimes they'll ask for a crystal or elements or something, but usually they will just allow me, right, again, wherever two or more, the two of us come together in agreement for that and they can receive it from that. So
Mm.
I also like to always come with offerings because
Mhm.
in my background the teachings always taught me either to come with tobacco, sweetgrass, sage, cedar, or your heart, right? Just sometimes I go in the woods and I forgot my medicine bag. But you know what? My gratitude in my heart is always here. And so
Mm.
you can come and you can offer that gratitude from the heart and then agree to hold the space for that tree. What is it needing? So that's a great way for all of us to start.
Mm. That's beautiful, Anna Maria. I love the awareness of the offering, and tobacco is has been huge for me and huge medicine. And offering it sweetgrass is amazing, but tobacco's kind of been my gift. Um, Part of my experience, and again in Yosemite, I learned this, it was instinctive in the receiving because I didn't know how to give and I wanted to give as much as I was receiving. And it was a beautiful practice. So, in a similar fashion, the breathing in and out with the horse, with my left hand, I'd open to receive. The energy would flow through my heart, and with my, no, with my left hand, yeah. And with my
Yeah.
right hand, I'd do the circuitry right back. And what was felt in that was so powerful and so available, and it just kept building into something. I'd step away after a few minutes and it would take me a few minutes to catch my breath and my balance because there was so much that was being transmitted. It's so beautiful. And you kind of already answered my second question that I was going to ask you, my experience, because sometimes I'll go on a hike here in Hawaii and I want to connect with trees and I'll walk up to one and I'll ask or I feel it's like, "Mm-mm, nope." It's like maybe it's a little grumpy, doesn't want the energy, and I'm directed towards someone else. It's like maybe it's tired, say it doesn't want energy, it's grumpy, or whatever. And it's not judgment, but it's just an awareness, and it's just like, okay, and there's a lot of respect that they have such clear standards and boundaries from where they're just not open to being in that exchange.
Whereas humans, right? What do? We don't know the word no. We don't know the word not now. We don't set boundaries, right? Especially those of us with the big hearts, right?
Yeah.
We are overgivers. Over and talk about the giving tree, right? Pretty soon we're this
Yeah.
stump that everyone just has to sit on because we've given away everything else. And I think that was one of the most powerful lessons that I learned from the trees, that it's okay to say no. And they weren't saying no to be mean to me. They were saying no in the highest support of me because there was a
Yeah.
different tree that was going to be better for me to be working with for whatever reason that I didn't need to know about, really.
Yeah. And y'all, if y'all feel that, if you haven't had that experience but are open to it, don't think that you're crazy for feeling that. Really follow that empathic awareness that's coming up for you, and just let that guide you. I guarantee you that 9 times out of 10, you're going to be right, if not 10 times out of 10. Uh, but be aware and follow through and play
It is.
with
That's the thing when you go with the energy of play, whether it's
Mhm.
with trees, whether it's with animals, that is what I have found. Play and gratitude are the two things that have opened up so many
Mhm.
enchanted doors for me. When I go with, I got to do this, I got to do this, I got to figure this out, right? Like when I was
Yeah.
writing my book and I'm like, I need a chapter, I need a chapter. Oh, yeah, that's the quickest way to not get a chapter for a book about nature. And
Mhm.
so they'd
Yeah,
be like,
yeah, right.
sweetie, come over here and sit down and let's play. And then you're going to have it naturally, right? And I was taken under the tutelage of the trees for 2 years. I'm a avid reader of everything, right? And they told me for 2 years, you can't read a single thing about trees. We don't
Mhm.
care if it's scientific, if it's not, nothing. You can read no articles, anything. And they passed me around from different trees, sometimes groups of trees, sometimes a singular tree. And then when I came out, I didn't know it was going to be 2 years. They couldn't tell me that because I'm too impatient and I would have fought and argued with them. But by the end of the 2 years, I was like, oh, and sure enough, they started pointing me to like books by arborists and botanists who were having a
Mhm.
change of heart and mind based on the data that they were seeing. And
Wow.
so it was phenomenal to have scientific confirmation for things that the trees had been telling me. And
Mhm.
so the biggest thing that I've learned is just go outside. Just go sit with the trees. If this is one of the biggest things I'll get, people will get on a call with me and they'll go, "You're not going to believe this." And then they're like, "Well, maybe you'll believe this, but nobody else is going to believe this. This bush started talking to me, or this tree, I was jogging past this tree and I swear I heard it say this." And I'm like, "That's exactly what it's right." Like, check in and make sure. But it's that piece where we don't even know how amazing we are. We don't believe it. We don't get it. The other
Mhm.
thing, right, this whole year, the telepathy tapes, or maybe that was last year it came out. I can't remember now. The years are blown together. But
Mhm.
they also touched on telepathy with animals, right? And then I was like, okay, we need to have the tree talkers on here because the same thing is happening with the trees.
Yeah.
We're finally realizing as humans that we have these extrasensory perceptions and that they've been dormant. And until we're pushed into the space where we experience it, we don't believe it. But
Mhm.
I'm saying pay attention, folks, because all of this is going to come up and we're all going to be sitting there going, we told you. We told you we've been doing this for decades and y'all said we were nuts.
Mhm. Yep, tree huggers. Um,
Tree huggers. And right, even me, the biggest tree hugger of the bunch. And I had my questions, my doubts like, oh my gosh, if somebody walked up the driveway right now, what would I tell them?
Mhm.
I had
Yeah,
nothing. I didn't
yeah.
know.
Yeah, amazing. Y'all, I'm going to get into Q&A in a second. I want to preempt a little bit the special offer because the course on trees as messengers and also the opportunity to have a one-on-one with Anna Maria to go deeper and get deeper messages that are available for you is extraordinary that we have this opportunity to work with Anna Maria in this way. We'll go through that in a little bit. The link's in the chat box if you want to find the special offer. It's also in the special offer button underneath the video where you're watching the call from. Before we get into our live callers, Anna Maria, I love your experience with this. It's from growing up in a concrete jungle to being immersed in nature just 24/7. I'm just surrounded by it on a continuous basis. I became aware where again, when we were going camping, when I was first going hiking, I was just going in and not being conscious of the exchange that was happening. So, like many people I see as tourists here on the island, they just go in and there's a lot of taking energy, and it's not intentional. It's innocent. It's again, it's like the 3-year-old in the forest doesn't know. They're just doing their thing. So I was a 3-year-old. Then an awareness of going in with reverence and wondering where the exchange was, and I think that's a beautiful new understanding that over the last decade has come to me more deeply and an exchange of the sacredness that's really there. Is there a time that we can go in intentionally to be asking from the plant kingdom and the tree kingdom and be okay just receiving? Is there a way to go in ceremoniously or even innocently and be okay being selfishly on purpose, I'll call it.
Absolutely, right? Like again, I'm pretty sure The Giving Tree was a channeled book because it
Yeah.
is so imbued with that energy of service that the trees really have and that they don't hold against us. The same thing with the animals, right? I am amazed time and time again that the trees and the animals aren't planning some kind of revolution against us humans because if anybody has a reason to do it, it's those groups, right? But
Yeah.
they're never like that. And the other beauty, the beautiful thing too is because I know there's a lot of folks that don't live close to nature and then they're like, well, why I can't even do this. No, what they've told me time and time again is we're being pushed, especially since we've moved out of the forest, to connect energetically. So
Mm,
we're at this beautiful time where technology can help us too, right? You can pull up images of trees. You can look at them. You can have a picture. You can look out your window. You can remember, right? As a child, I grew up in a very chaotic and violent home, and running out to the trees was one of my places, right? This is where
mm,
it all started happening. If we all start looking back, no experience is wasted. I would feel the energy in the house getting a little tense and I would make my exit and I would go under the pine trees or the elm trees and you'd feel held. And I hear this from other people. Oh yeah, I'd climb up in the apple tree or I'd climb up in that old beech tree or whatever. Maybe not a beech tree, that'd be a tough one. But you know what I'm saying is we felt this. And so it is fine for us just to come, right? I've come completely lately with I need to be held, right? Like, and so
nice.
you can just go, that's fine, right? We absolutely want to work on our giving back piece always, but when you are in need, go. Don't wait.
Mm,
Don't be like, where, I got to get all my offerings and stuff. We can just go and receive. We can just
beautiful.
go and be held. And
Mm,
maybe you're not even going anywhere. Maybe you're just sitting in your house thinking of this. Maybe you're sitting next to one of your house plants. It doesn't matter. We can make that connection. Everything is energy, and we're being called to come back to this energy because there's a different way for us to do it.
beautiful. Thank you for answering that. Let's dive into some Q&A. This is going to be fun. There's some great questions coming up in the chat as well. I've been skimming over them, so I promise I'm going to get to the chat also. And Susan, welcome. Let's start with you. Susan, let me get you to unmute your microphone, please.
So sorry, so sorry. I wanted to say thank you, John. It's nice to see you again. And
Mm,
Anne Marie, I look forward to hearing some information from the trees. I
mm,
have always been a bit of a nature girl and always have sought time walking in the ferns and various growth, escaped into greenery as well. And so I'm going to go with the question that you prompted earlier is what would the trees have to say to me? And I did want to acknowledge too the elevation of awareness of getting more information. I think I've just gone and probably received energy shifts without kind of bringing that into my into gratitude. But I've gone in one state and come out in another. So
And you're right, like that there's a pull to tell you go in a little deeper, there's more, right? Like we love when we get hit with the transformation energy that shifts everything. That's great. There's nothing wrong with that. But I can already feel in your field there's more there. So don't rush off so quickly, right? Like stay, like it's almost like that's the preamble, right? They shift the energy and then the wisdom really comes through. So for you especially, you've got a lot of fairy energy with you too. So anytime you connect to the trees, connect with the elementals first, especially nature spirits. The fairies are so strong for you. And then the other one that came, a specific tree was the hemlock tree. And this is it's very strong in magic. It's very strong in helping us also with shadow work. Oh my gosh, this is huge, right? This is
Mhm.
2025. Everybody's shadow is coming up to be dealt with. And so when you need to deal with your own shadow or somebody else's shadow, call first on the nature spirits and then the hemlock tree. I'm almost seeing like you crafting a magic wand out of a hemlock
Wow.
limb and using that.
Great. Well,
Ooh, that was
thank you.
fun.
I live in Hawaii, so I don't know that I have a hemlock tree around here, so I'll have to bring that in just to my consciousness. So thank you. Appreciate that.
And that's a great question, right? Because a lot of times we live in a place like right here, I've got mostly ponderosa trees around me. And so people will be like, oh my gosh, I don't have that tree. You can ask a tree to be a proxy for another tree. So if you already have a tree that you're spending time with, you can say, hey, would you mind channeling this tree? This is the same thing, right? Like a lot of us had they're actually known as mother trees, trees when we were younger that were kind of our tree that we went to all the time that was kind of nurturing us. Even though, right, like the tree that I know is my one of my mother trees from a child, it's not there anymore. It has long passed over or the humans took it out or whatever, but I can you can still connect with it. So use that connection to these other trees to bring back all the wisdom, right? Because we were kids, we didn't know
Mm.
there was wisdom in there, right? Like we were just playing, but we were being infused with it, and you can recall it.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Ooh, that
All
was
right,
fun. Thank
Susan.
you
It's
for bringing that
wonderful to see you,
through.
Susan.
Yes,
Yeah.
thanks. See you.
A great point that was brought up, Anna Maria, and I want to just be on that a little bit longer, is that we are being asked to go deeper underneath the superficial levels. And yes, in our connection with nature and the trees. And I love the calling from your teacher to go be with a tree for 30 minutes every day. It's like you build that intimacy, that awareness. So many times we get that quick hit and the nervous system calm. It's like, oh, thank you very much. And we stop it short when there's more that wants to come through. So if that satiation comes where you feel the nervous system relax, and be curious as to what it's opening you up
What
to.
else? Yeah, sit
What
still. And
else
the
is
thing
there?
with trees, they're slow. The energy is slow. It requires
Mhm.
us to slow. Their energy is so slow that a regular botanist, arborist would say that a tree would have no impact from you being around it because of their sensory perceptions are so much slower. First of all, they're wrong, but that's okay. But the truth is, the real nugget of truth in there is to get us to slow down, to get
Mhm.
us to get calm. And again, this is true for all of us too who are readers, you know, your seers or readers. When we first start reading, we get like a little glimpse or a little piece of information and we get so excited because something came through and we
Yeah.
just run away with that, right? When then the energy's like, wait, there was more, but you got excited and okay, I guess we're done here, right? So I always tell people you can be excited, celebrate that first piece, but then sit your ass back down and say, what else? Right. And it's
Right.
hard in our life because we are on the go, on the go, on the go, on the go. And the trees know that for me. They got to make me sit still because I'm like,
Mhm.
ooh, I want to tell somebody that.
Well, it's hard, but also it's why we have these calls to bring awareness and presence to what's there. And we can feel that activating our fields and our hearts as well. And so we're all teaching each other that presence.
We're all
We're
just
showing
walking
that
each other home.
we are the intimacy of that. It's just profound. Thank you, Susan, for bringing that into conversation.
Thank you.
We have a question that came in from Stephanie. Stephanie, thank you for asking this. What's the highest offering that we can give to a group of trees that are being cut down for commercial purposes or
Yeah, that hurts
or
all of our
commercial
hearts,
area?
right? Like we could all feel that. So all
Yeah.
the tender-hearted people, it's okay, right? Like here's the thing. Anytime that energy comes through, the first thing we do, we get mad, right? We're like, we want that to happen to those people who did that, right? Like, you all should be taken out with chainsaws and all of this. And, right, like our human, we kind of relish that, retaliatory
Mhm.
energy. But the truth is, that's not helpful, right? Like, what we put out, we get back. And it doesn't help the trees. So what I found, right, there's a lot of unjust injustices happening across the planet all the time to every
Mhm.
friggin' species on this planet. And adding that negative energy doesn't help. So what I do is I send love and I share with them what I know, right? Like this is what's happening. This is what's going to happen. This is true even if someone just has one tree in a yard that needs to come down or is coming down for whatever reason. I will explain to them this is what's happening. The humans have made this decision for whatever reason. Sometimes there's a valid reason, but most of the time there's not. And I will tell them what they're going to experience. You're going to first hear things, you're going to feel a vibration. I let them know which trees are going to be affected if I know and which trees won't be. I just try and give them as much information as possible. And I also let
Mhm.
them know whatever you need to do to send your energy, your information down into the ground, right? To conserve your energy, to share it with the trees around you, maybe that are going to still stay. Or even just the ground itself can hold that information. So I typically just try and be an ally and let them know what's happening. And
Mm.
they have been the most appreciative of that because they're the last to know.
Mm. Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. And great question, Stephanie. I appreciate it. Thank you.
And oh, this also brings up the if you have to prune a tree, right? Because I have so many people call me saying, my
Mm.
husband and I are going to get a divorce because he's trying to prune the trees and I'm in the house crying. And so they have told me that, again, explain to them what's happening, but that a lot of times it's like a haircut for them. I mean, there are some bad pruning jobs that go way beyond that, but for the most part, if you explain to
Mm.
them, tell them they also would never want to harm any humans. I know I got called in to help with a tree that was over a child's bedroom and it had been struck by lightning and they were so afraid that the branch was going to fall in onto the house. And so I talked to the tree and the tree was like mortified that it could harm a human, especially a child.
Mm.
And so it asked, okay, you can go ahead and take me down, but could you do something to honor me? Could you do something to honor this? And so they had a carving done out of the trunk and it was beautiful and like this
Mm.
blessing for the rest of the forest around their home. So it's not that we can't do things or live our lives, but right, we don't live in a vacuum and we want
Right.
to be aware of all of our neighbors, not just the human neighbors.
Yeah, well, I think well, I know it's sacred to honor life in all forms. And so from the Native American traditions to honor both life and the transition of life and realize that everything goes through its cycles.
Yes. Nothing on this planet gets out alive, right?
Right.
Everything on this planet is going to die, but we don't do well with that part of it. But
Yeah.
that's because we walk around very unaware and we don't honor that cycle all the time in everyday
Mhm.
life.
Right. Beautiful. Such great wisdom. Okay, let's continue now. Sherry, let's go to you. Welcome to the call. And we're going to try to get through as many questions as possible, so y'all hang tight. It's both on video and on the chat. Sherry, have you found your unmute button?
Yeah. Thank you.
Hi, welcome.
You dealt
What's
with
your
it.
question for Anna Maria?
Thank you so much for calling on me. Anna
Mhm.
Maria, I live in Southwest Montana, and I live in a valley surrounded by forest. And 7 years ago, I had seven blue spruce trees planted in my yard or on my property. And recently, my landscaper who planted them for me indicated that there was um, something wrong with the tree. She was concerned that some of the needles were turning brown and yellow. And she says it's not just your tree, Sherry. It's happening in the forest also. So my question is, what can I do to help them, other than talking to them, and giving them love, and or is this just part of the process that they're going through?
There's a couple different things, right? And we can always affect change within our own purview, right? And so this is right, like just like animals are messengers, trees are messengers, and they are pointing to everything we've done that makes just living life so difficult. And even right, fortunately Southwest Montana is still, a place where we do have wildness, but the
Yes.
truth is everything that the outside world is doing is encroaching, right? I live along the Continental Divide, and the devastation to the trees from disease and insects, all due to the fact that everything is changing and the trees don't get the deep freezes that they used to get, that would stave off these diseases, that would stave off these insects. And so, what are you not getting, right, in your own
Mm.
life that you need? The first thing we can always do, right? We can't save the whole world, but we can put our oxygen mask on so that we take care of ourselves and we don't pass out in the aisle and get in the way of everyone else trying to do help. So in this case, yes, it's a bigger systemic problem that's going on, but it's pointing and showing up in your backyard for you to look at. What are the basic things about self-care that I'm
Mm.
not doing for myself? So first do that, then go out to your trees and ask them what you can do to help them. Another thing, energy, right? Like we can hold
Mm.
that. We can create a grid. We can create a boundary, a bubble, right? Like I always am picturing, I love the whole forest, but I'm a steward of this forest right here in my purview, right? This 40 acres right
Yep.
here. So stay with those trees and see what they need, but it's always going to be pointing back to what do you need, especially as someone with a big heart who helps everybody else, and then your tank is on empty.
Yeah.
Aha, there you
Okay.
go. All
Thank
right,
you.
Sherry. Thanks for coming on. Blessings to
And hug those trees from me.
Okay. Kind of hard to hold, hug pine.
Yeah, those are kind of prickly. You can put your hand, stroke the branches.
Yes.
There
Okay.
you
Only
go.
one direction.
Okay. Yes. Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
love.
Mhm.
Okay, so we have a question that came in from Linda. So Linda's asking, says, thank you so much for this call. Would love to know what the trees at my home have to share and how I might more deeply embody our connection.
Yes. The first thing is the the root word when you look at like English language tree, it shares a root word with the word truth. And
Mhm.
there is truth in the trees, right? When you look at the Druids, they knew this. They already knew this. Any of our earth based ancestors, which is all of them, right? At one point, all of us were sitting around fires in the forest. And so, this remembering using the trees as an antenna to bring in truth for us. And so the first thing that's coming through is how your trees want to share truth with you. They want to bring you back to your truth. And so I'm seeing three of them, and they're almost showing themselves like if you came up above and looked down, the three that I'm seeing create this like triangle. You can sit with any of those three trees, and I'm already getting that you know which three I'm talking about. You can sit with any of them, but at one point they want you to sit in the center. Like, what would be the center? If you look, that tree's over there, that tree's there, and that other one's there. You be in the center. There is sacred geometry happening there that for you
Mm.
to receive. This is all about this is about your self confidence. You don't believe the things that they have been telling you because you think, oh, I probably already knew that. You have a real strong claircognizance, which is just the knowingness that comes in, but you have an even stronger doubt of that because you think, oh, I already know this. So I need you to doubt your doubt, and I need you to spend more time with those trees because they're going to reveal things that are going, you're going to say, oh, I didn't think anyone knew that about me, and they're going to reveal that to you. So get to work between now and
Nice.
the winter solstice. This is a very potent time for you. So you got about a month.
Mhm. Do the trees stop communicating more as they go dormant? I guess it depends with what area we're
right?
in, if they're evergreen or not, or
Well,
what's
I
your
will
awareness
tell
around
you,
that?
yeah, it does. In the winter, they get slower. Even gardeners will know this, right? You've got a great relationship with your garden in the summer, but then it kind of it gets quiet. I've got a music of the plant device, right? There's an eco village in
Mm,
Damanhur, northern Italy, and they've been studying plant consciousness and plant communication for decades, 60, 70 years, something like that. And they created this device where you can hook it up to a plant or a tree, and you put some down, you put one of the probes down by the roots and you put one on the leaves, and it translates the bioenergetic field of the plant into musical tone so we can hear it. Because the truth is, the plants are releasing these frequencies all the time, but it's outside of our audible range, so we can't hear it, but we feel it. And I will tell you, so my point of that whole story is I only record in the summer because it's so slow. The energy is so slow,
mm.
and the song is so slow and drawn out in the winter. And so you can still connect with them, right? But you're going to need to slow down a little bit more. And what I like to do in the winter is sit more in like a group of trees because, right, there's an amplification, or a
Mm.
tree circle or a tree, cluster, because you will get more energy coming through. But it does slow down. You got to listen a little longer. You got to listen a little more intently, which makes it hard when you're outside and it's cold in the winter.
But the peace that comes through in that stillness is profound as well,
It
right?
is. It is.
So
It is. And
it's
we got to stop going, hurry up. Come on, transformation. It's cold out here. I need you to hurry up. But right, the
come on,
truth
come on the
is,
clock.
I've also created different practices because I am a creature of comfort. I love to be warm. I hate being cold. And so there are days, living at 8,500 feet, that I'm not going to go out there. And I
Mm,
know, and I'll sit in my chair and I'll connect with my trees from here where I'm
mm.
warm.
Yeah, we're gonna get to more Q&A. There's amazing things that are coming through in the conversation, and I feel some of the questions really amplify more what we're talking about. I want to dive into the special offer because this is about empowering you to a deeper relationship and understanding and expansion of what's available with these allies that surround us on a continuous basis. There's also an opportunity to work with Anna Maria one-on-one, which is extraordinary. So I want to invite all of y'all to click on the special offer button underneath the video, or click on the link that is in the chat box. And Anna Maria, if you would, guide everybody through the experiences that they're going to have by diving into the special offer with you.
Oh my goodness. And the truth is, right, John and I go way the frick back, right? Both of us were
Truly.
assistants for other people as we were in the
Mhm.
listening of, we knew we needed to step up, but we didn't know what we were going to do yet, right? And
Yeah.
so we go way back, and that love and that connection, I always want to bring my A game here, right? And I always want to bring the
Mhm.
best offer at the best price. So this is huge. I am known for having info packed courses. People are like, one module would have been enough for most
Mhm.
folks, but I can't help it, right? Because the trees keep giving and they give all the information. And so it's a self-paced course. You can take yourself through it whichever way you want, because I'm a person that hates to be told what to do. So I create like that. I would suggest that you start with the orientation because it will give you a good layout of what's going on, what you're going to find in the course. Like I said, this comes from 2 years under the tutelage of trees and then breaking down what they were telling me and how it applies. So we talk about tuning into trees, right? There's an important way, and it's a recalibration process that allows us to receive the information. So I explain that how we're raising our vibration in different ways to do that so that we can connect with the trees. I talk about tree symbology, right? Because everybody wants to know, like, what is this tree telling me? And we can decipher that, of course, through our intuitive abilities, but we start, right? Like I call it priming the pump by looking at the tree. What kind of tree is it? Does it have leaves? Is it an evergreen? There are different pieces that allow us to start to prime the pump to bring through the information. And so we can all create our own personal tree symbology library so that we know immediately when a pine tree comes through, right? Or when a pinyon tree comes through, I know right away I'm dealing with ancient wisdom. This is about ceremony. This is about centeredness. When I'm dealing with an oak tree, I know I'm dealing with strength, wisdom, resilience. So you can see how we can start to build our own symbology library based on our experience with trees. I love how trees play with harmonics, how they play with light, right? They're light eaters. They turn, oh my goodness, the maple tree is the best one. They take water and sunlight and make maple syrup. That is the best practical magic in the whole world. And the truth is, right, light contains even more amazing information than just a recipe for maple syrup. And when
Mm.
we are sitting underneath a tree and the sun is shining through the leaves, we are being imprinted with vital information for our system, for our body, and for our path. And I have an entire module that talks about that and how you can work with trees um, and biophotons. We talk about tree auras, right? We've already mentioned that. And I share a really fun exercise that you can do where you will see the energy of a tree and how you can do this. This is one of my favorite things to do with the grandkids, right? Because they can practice playing with the trees. I was in an interview one time with a group of kids in summer camp, and I taught them this process. They went out, had their minds blown, and how fun. What a great way for us to play in the energy, right? To open some more of that wisdom. I also talk about activating plant medicine, right? How do we activate, how do we invoke this collaborative energy that we have with the trees? There's like a guidance, right? There's like a map that we can use to activate that. We also have, like I said, there's so much going on in here. Oh my goodness. Module 7, what men and dogs do instinctively, even though they don't know it. This was a hysterical module that the trees took me through, and it involved me peeing outside for an extended period of time. And they were teaching me about reading energy. And so this is something that a lot of gardeners will know. Like after you are outside gardening and you've gotten sweaty and stuff, you take a bowl and you clean your feet off, right, with water, wash them over your feet and it goes in the bowl, then put that water into your garden. And your vegetables, especially, will read what you're missing and add that in terms of vitamins and minerals into your garden, what you're growing.
Wow.
I know, right? Like all of us should be doing this all the time
Wow.
to have personalized nutrition in our life. Well, the trees were explaining, there's times when we're like, something's off in my system. I don't know what it is. So they taught me. And I know not all of us can just, go outside, cop a squat by a tree, right? Because sometimes we have neighbors. I had a client who he peed in a cup in his house and then he took it outside and he delivered it to the tree, and then the tree taught me to come back for the results, right? Like either to that tree or another tree. I go into all of that in that module. Super exciting, super fun way to play with the trees. um they also taught me a process that I use all the time for transmuting, healing, and manifesting. This is part of my blueprint that
Mm.
I use in manifesting. Again, I always feel like I'm the poster child for if I can do this, you can do it too, because I have the biggest skeptic mind, right? I got a bajillion questions. I got a 3 million yeah buts, and they still taught me how to do this and to create a
Mm.
life that I thought only existed in my dreams. So I'm sharing all of that with you guys. Um, Trees teach us about natural rhythm, and so many of us are out of sync with our natural rhythm. Same thing with competition, right? In the world, it's all an illusion. And trees teach us about this. For the longest time, scientists thought trees were just these competitive things that were trying to kill off and push out other species. And it turns out, right? When we all do better, we all do better. And the trees have learned to do that. And they've proven it through scientific testing that mother trees share information and nutrients not only with their own species, but with other species in their ecosystem, because a balanced system is the healthiest system. And the trees have learned that. In humans, we have not learned this yet. Here's a big thing in the live group sessions, right? Every course I do has a live group session. And last year, my team told me people need more than one live session. And I thought, oh, okay, I'll add a second one. And they were like, nope, that's not enough. And remember, John, this actually came through on your show last year. They're making me give lifetime access to the group sessions. So quarterly,
Wow.
once a quarter, right? So 4 times a year, I do live group sessions. And if you purchase this package, you will be invited for a lifetime. I can't remember when the next one's coming up. It must be coming up in December, probably. But then all of 2026, you will be invited 4 times a year. 2027, as long as I'm doing this, you will be invited back, which is beautiful because what
Amazing.
happens, right? We take time to go through a course, then we kind of digest it, then we get more questions, and we got to come back. With the
Mm.
old model, there was no way for you to do that. So the trees are looking out for you, and you will be invited infinity to live group sessions. And I love that. That was such a gift. I fought with them. I promise you, I fought with them at first. And then I was like, you know what?
That's amazing. Yeah,
It's a
it's
gift.
wow, wow. And well, it would seem that that would be the bonus, but it's not. You actually have more bonuses.
No, I have even more bonuses, right?
Yeah.
The course itself has other bonuses that come with it. There is uh trees helping humans develop their intuition. This great interview I did with Caitlin Keat, who is a great tree talker. I actually met her tree Oscar that downloaded all of the earth technology to her to
Mm.
for all of her creations. The next bonus is also trees as messengers, resources, right? To take your connection deeper. Another piece that I wanted to add is anyone who purchases the course, right? You get the lifetime access to group sessions, but then also I'm going to include you for 30 days. Every day, I do energy clearings and infusions. It's a list of over 50 at this point. I had started doing it just for me and my family. Eventually, I needed to do it for the folks in my mentorship group. And now it's an offering that it's a monthly subscription. But for you guys, I really want you to get the support. I want you to get how much the trees get us and how much
Mm.
they're trying to assist us. And I've learned that if you're in my group of clearings and infusions, that you assimilate the information easier. So for the next 30 days from the day you sign up, you will be included in those for free. So that's very exciting. And then let me talk about the next package, right? So the next package gets everything we talked about, plus you get one-on-one time with me. You get a private 30-minute session with me. And in that session, I'm going to take you through a very special tree channel process to reconnect you to tree wisdom in your life. And another bonus that the trees whispered in my ear when I was like, really, this is a lot, you guys. And they're like, one more thing. So anyone who upgrades gets all those other things I talked about. Plus, I'm going to take your numerology. So when you sign up for your private session in the notes, put your birth date, month, day, and year, because I'm going to determine based on your numerology who your totem tree is. And your totem tree is the tree that helps you come back to your center and remember alignment when you get pulled off. These are like compass trees, these totem trees, and they are phenomenal teachers in our lives. And so anyone who signs up through Beyond the Ordinary for that, for the package with the upgrade, gets everything I talked about. Plus, in the private session, I will also tell you who your personal totem tree is and what it means, right? What that means for you. I think that's it. You're muted now. We get to practice our telepathy skills.
Telepathy, yes. Y'all, this is an extremely special offer for Anna Maria. She always like brings it up several notches for our BTO community. So thank you, Anna Maria, for offering this. Y'all can see the pricing on the special offer There's a two payment available for both packages. Again, package A is $148. You can choose two payments on that. Package B, including the private session, and all the additional bonuses, is $273. And again, that includes that 30-minute one-on-one session with Anna Maria. So I hope y'all dive in and really choose to benefit from what's becoming available, and also how we're becoming more attuned. Our growing empathy and our capacity is expanding at such a level, and these trainings that really help us to ground in and own what's coming up. There's especially as we've gone through these years, this year of shedding. As we've shed, what else has become more available, and how can we be more refined in our approach? It's instead of throwing up spaghetti up against the wall to seeing what might land, being more attuned and intentional where our practices and where that's going to take us is I don't think there's words for it quite just yet, because we're growing at such amazing rates and capacities that I don't believe that a year from now that a lot of us are going to recognize ourselves and who we're becoming. And the intentional work, the dedication for me, this year's word has been devotion. What are we devoted to and why? Um, and again, this is an opportunity to dive in with a lot of integrity, a lot of embodied power, but also a lot of innocence and play into what's coming through the veil as we step through the fog into new levels of conscious awareness. So again, y'all know where to find the special offer button. Take advantage of that. And with that, Anna Maria, I would love to dive into some more Q&A.
Yes, this is so fun. And like you said, the questions create all the information that we're all needing for this. So this is so phenomenal.
Yeah, this is fun today. I'm having a great time with you guys. Kimmy, let's go to you. Welcome to the call. Kimmy, let's get you to unmute your microphone, please.
Hello.
Hi, welcome.
Oh, hey. I was just wondering, I suppose, if the trees had anything they wanted me to know. I've always talked to trees, my whole life, and I never even considered the concept that they could talk back. I've just always talked to them just because, I don't know. Yeah, and there's a few special trees like I think of in my life, and yeah, I was just wondering if they had anything for me to know. Yeah.
You know, it's so interesting because I was like, okay, you guys, who's here? And I was trying to get one to come forward, but one would not come forward, like multiple. They like came in like groups and they're like, no, we're all here for her. And you can't just pick out one of us because it's a team, right? Like for you, it is about that. They grow together, right? They're growing and the information that they're sharing. But then, so first thing they were showing is like, we've got all this going on. But then they took me to the canopy of all of them. And I was still trying to like, oh, who's that? Who's that? And they're like, that's not the point. And they were showing me their limbs. And trees, when they bring me into the limbs, it's all about expansion. And so a tree knows this, right? If they're going to expand, they got to follow the light. That's what they're telling you. You got to follow the light, right? The darkness, we get pissed off by it. We get, and we want to figure it out. There's no information for us there. Just let it go. It's darkness because it's darkness because it's darkness. You follow the light. That's what you got to stay focused on. When the darkness grabs you too much and you get pulled by it, hey, I know this too, right? Like it's like, yeah, but if I could figure it out. No, there's no figuring it out. Stay focused on the light. The light is where your expansion is going to happen, and your trees know this. And I'm picturing like your favorite trees. They're showing me like five of them actually. And then they're like, well, there's more. So we'll make two
Mhm.
circles. So the first circle, you picture yourself sitting in the middle of it. And I see all of their canopies like overlapping above you. And then another circle on the outside. It's almost like they're creating a conductor, like a battery to recharge you. But everything is to help you focus on the light, on your light, on the light. Don't get distracted
Mm.
by the darkness.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. Thank
That's
you.
I mean,
big and huge for
beautiful.
all of us, right? Because we're like, well, I just want to understand why they're making such horrible decisions. I just want to understand why they're so evil. There's no understanding it. It just is. We got to focus on the light.
Mm.
Beautiful. And Maria, to add to this, how can we be more intentional in receiving from the trees? Because a lot of times we'll go out and we're not quite, well, they may be talking to me or they probably are, but it's how can we be just more available to what wants to be shared?
The biggest thing is our intention, right? Intention is our superhuman, um, it's our superpower, but we forget about it, right? When we couple our intention with our breath,
Mhm.
that activates everything. That drops us into heart coherence and it expands our field. So the biggest thing, right? Because we like are like, oh, we want, the big lightning and all of the stuff to come through and the voice of God and all of that. Really just go out, take a couple deep breaths, intention. I want to connect. I need guidance. I need solace. I need whatever it is you're needing, set that intention and then go out. Because, right, once we're out, we are like squirrel. We're completely, we're
Mhm.
distracted by everything. So we have to set our intention before we go out and then be open, right? There are so many times that I'm like, I want the secret of life. And I'm like, I'm not going to be satisfied until then. But there's other magic happening that I'm missing because I'm so focused on what I think I need. So set your intention, but stay open because the trees will surprise you.
Mm, beautiful. Give me blessings too. Thanks for coming on. And for reference, Linda, who you read for earlier in the chat, she says, "Oh my God, you're so right on!" Exclamation, exclamation. I'm so grateful for that which has been shared and honored to get to work with these sacred beings. Thank you so much. So, a little confirmation from Linda that I wanted to share. Y'all, we're going to get to more video calls. I promise I'm going to go to a couple of chat questions here. Michael writes, what's the deeper meaning and vibration of an avocado tree? It started producing avocados after I asked it. I told it we love avocados and would love if it grew some for us. The landlord said it wouldn't produce, but it did.
I love that so much. Anytime you look at a tree, right, and you're looking at, in that case, it's a fruit, right? That's
Mm,
about power, right? And so it doesn't matter if we're talking about a lemon or an avocado, then you're going to drill down from there, right? We're going to look at the energy. So in this case, this is actually all about when you look at an avocado, right? There's all that fruit around that seed, but that protection and that nurturance and what they're coming through with is this piece about energetic protection. And I love that that tree did the impossible because how many people have tried to grow an avocado tree and nothing happened, right? Like we all have had the pit, with the toothpicks over the water and all of
oh
that.
yeah.
How many of us can say we grew an avocado? There's not a lot of us. And so, but for him in particular, this is about protection that you don't know you need. So connect with, first of all, know that you receive your power not from the opinions of everybody else, but from source. So get in alignment with that and then start to tune in to and call on the protection that you don't know you need. There's something in that for you and your family that is coming through and they're being really cheeky in terms of like avocados were always like, oh, it's fat, but it's a good fat, right? So they're telling that joke. So if you've got any chubbiness going on in your life, it's okay, it's a good fat.
Mm, nice, nice, beautiful. I have a personal question I'm going to ask you before the end of the call, so we'll get into that in a little bit. But right now, I want to go to Leanne. Leanne, welcome.
Hello, what a fascinating conversation tonight.
Mm,
I'm definitely a tree girl, but my question comes from a slightly different aspect of nature. Because about 5 weeks ago, I was in the ocean in Rocky Point, Mexico, and I got caught in a riptide, and I was about one wave away from drowning.
wow.
And I'm wondering what kind of messages I'm supposed to take from that.
Mm,
Ooh, I mean, as a shamanic practitioner, right? When we're in nature and we have something in nature that almost takes us out, right? And it doesn't. It's a huge call to us, right? To pay attention. Water is going to be one of your sacred allies because it almost took you out. And so at this point, connecting with the element of water within you and around you is going to be really big. Also, I would be looking at in my world it's shamanic work, right? So earth-based practices, druid, celtic, things like that, whatever it is that you resonate with. But you've also got the frankincense tree coming through, again, which is pointing also to shamanism, indigenous stuff. There's this huge piece from a past life coming through, but also through your ancestry. So follow your ancestry, what you know about it, and more importantly, what you don't know about it, because you're being called into your medicine womanness. So it's almost like you've experienced a shamanic death. And so I would actually do ceremony around that where you surrender. And then you come back and you say, I'm listening. What's the path now? Because you've been initiated.
Okay, that makes perfect sense.
Woo, big stuff ahead for you.
Yeah.
Hmm. Oofta.
Thank you so much.
I think
It looks like John might have
John's in
froze.
suspended animation. So it's just you and me. But this is true, right? Like so many times we'll experience something profound with the elements, right? Whether I know a lot of medicine women who've had initiations with fire that were not comfortable, or, the element of air or whatever. For you, it's water. And so stay with that, honor the water within you and around you, and ask, what am I to do next? And it's definitely checking with your past lives as a medicine woman, but there's something going forward with you pulling forward your magic.
Mm. All
John?
right, well, blessings, and then thank you for surviving that water initiation. Yeah. My internet keeps dropping off. Mercury retrograde, y'all. I don't know what's happening.
Not a
Um,
joke, it turns out.
it's like, but that's all right. Um, Kathy was asking, I love that she's asking because I guess she loved the first one so much that she's wondering if this is the same course that was offered before, and are there any differences in it compared to the last offer?
Well, the bonuses for sure, all of the extra pieces about being included, going forward. I can't remember, right. I'm always one of these people that's like, oh, let me toss this in that
You're
course
always
too.
adding bonuses,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm always adding it, or something comes through that I add in. The original skeleton of the course is from that, right? Because it all came from my 2 years with the trees. But over time, I've added different pieces here and there, but I honestly don't remember what's been added since the last time.
Right. And of course the group live calls and all that
Yes.
are part of what's
And
continuous.
I do know people that, yeah, that will, even though they've owned the course before, to get that private session, right? Because it is a
Right.
fraction of what you normally, it's cheaper than what you would normally pay for a private session with me. And those who know about private sessions with me are like, I don't care. I'll take that
Yeah,
course 3 times to get that private session.
for sure. For sure. Really special. So Kathy, thank you for asking about
Yeah,
that
that's a
and for
great
the
question.
clarification. All right. Ariona, welcome to the call.
Hello. So great to speak with you. I am in love with redwood trees. And I
Mm.
bought a house in Florida year before last, and I didn't realize I cried for them. They were family members that, because I was out with them constantly. And then I thought, oh, it's okay. And oak trees are lovely. The redwoods are my family. And so I spend a lot
Mhm.
of time in the old growth state parks. And my heart lights up, there's one in particular that's like, hey, good, welcome back. Yeah. So I feel like I get deep messages about like deep well-being in the history and maybe another life with this tree. Just those family of trees. I just feel so home. And then I go to my little apartment in the city on the fifth floor, and I feel very lonely and isolated. And I know that energetically they're always with me, but how do I bring that feeling of connectedness with humanity, with life, into my moment to moment reality where I don't feel so disconnected?
Yes. Beautiful
And
question.
that's our practice, right? Like that is our practice. We're creating a well-worn path. First of all, your team is going nuts in the background about she gets it. She remembers that you have an absolute past life connection, multiple past life connections with the redwoods. They're actually showing you as part of a tribe that would create parts of their villages in the canopy, which is insane when you think how high up that is.
Mm.
But they are like, no, we're serious. She knows that. And it's a whole nother ecosystem up there that scientists are just now actually understanding. So this is huge for you. I like to create the rocks taught me this actually, like a touchstone, but you can do it with a pine cone or a tree
Mhm.
bough or, like a little piece of their limb or something.
Right. I
Bring
do
it
that.
back, and I
Mhm.
put everything goes on my altar, right? So you bring it back on the altar, and then right, my altar spills out, and it's all over the house in different windowsills and
Right.
stuff. But that's going to be your biggest way because you're going to be able to literally touch it and have an instantaneous connection, either physically or energetically, right? Like there are times when I'm like, oh, I need my touchstone thing, but it's in the other room and I'm too lazy to get up. That's okay. I got psychic powers, right? Like we can connect
Mhm.
energetically. But for you right now, the biggest thing is for you to remember this parts of this past life. So sit, it doesn't matter what trees you have in Florida, that's fine, or just even in your house in your sacred spot, but start to connect and ask it to be revealed because this is an important part. Again, they've talked about this the whole call about our magic. It's so important stepping into 2026 for each of us to understand how our magic flows. What is it? You have got a deep wisdom that people feel just being in your presence because you channel that energy of the trees, that steadfastness of the ancient wisdom of those redwoods. And
Mhm.
we need you to stand in that more and share that with other people. But we got to keep your connection first, strong, right? Put your mask on first and then help
Mhm.
everybody else.
Thank you. I also want to add that I have a jar of little tiny quartz crystals, and I heard somebody, I think through John's show maybe last year, talking about how the redwoods in specific and other trees like to be planted with crystals, like to have. And so I'm back in California, and I'm with them often, and I know which ones want which crystals, and then I get to like feel the crystal resonance.
Yes.
It's hard to
And
explain the
keep some of
process.
them for yourself because,
Mhm.
again, the crystals that you put with the trees can communicate with the crystal that you keep for yourself. And
Mhm.
then it is literally, right, this energetic communication that's happening all the time. So
Right.
you're right on. Keep following. You are having so much bleed through memories about the magic that you've had with trees, and you're just bringing it back and grounding it into this reality.
Beautiful.
Thank
Everyone,
you.
blessings to you and enjoy those redwoods. Oh, amazing. Me too. Me too with the redwoods. And what I really appreciate what you're sharing here also, Anna Maria, because with Ariona and the example that she's bringing up, we're being asked to go deeper in our awareness. There's seeds that are sprouting, but the roots are deep. And if we connect to that, the wisdom, the connection, the familiarity, the intimacy really reveals itself in ways that we haven't experienced before. So that presence, again, it's Ariana, the reverence that I feel in her connection to the redwoods is so beautiful. And what else is available as that relationship deepens?
Yep.
And that's why maybe parts of us in different ways are feeling, wait, I want more community. I want more connection. I'm feeling a little lonely right now. It's because our hearts are opening up and receptive in a way that perhaps they haven't been before.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
so it's so
and
beautiful.
nature is waiting for us, right? Whatever it
Mhm.
is that lights you up, trees, animals, rocks, go do it, right? Like this is what they've been waiting for us to remember.
Yeah, for sure. Oh my
Mhm.
goodness, this is so powerful. Y'all, I want to honor Anna Maria's time. We're at the top of the show. I promise Anna Maria will be back on another show without question. But definitely go into the special offer if you have the opportunity to do so, and show up for those audio recordings. There's so much that's shared there, and the way that Anna Maria teaches it and shares, it's so accessible and my God, human, right?
Yeah,
Human.
for some reason, right? The animals in nature they use me as their mouthpiece. And what I've learned is if I can't explain it to a 5-year-old, then I don't understand it. And so I have them teach it to me so that I can explain it, right? And I love that they can explain these high level concepts in ways that are so easy for us. And then we're like,
Mhm.
oh, I can do that.
Well, and again, what I appreciate about you, and similar to me, it's I'm extremely woo and spiritual, but I'm skeptical first.
Totally. Always skeptical first, and then I will ease in and be
Yeah,
absolutely blown away. But I
exactly.
won't be, I'm not a fool. You know?
Right, totally. Totally. So it's uh, Lynn, Heather, everybody that's written into the chat. I honor you guys and thank you for participating and sharing in this way. I'll share my question with you in my personal session, so we'll leave that. And as we end tonight, Anna Maria, are there any last messages that you or perhaps the trees want to share as we close off on the call?
There is the biggest thing they were coming through is they were explaining again, right? Like what we notice on the trees is the trunk and the limbs and the leaves or the needles, whatever, but there's so much going on underground, and
Mm,
all of that reflects our beingness. It reflects our consciousness, and there's so much more going on below the surface than any of us realize. And this is why grounding works, right? Like, go put your bare feet on the earth, put your
mm,
bare hands on a tree if you can't have bare feet, but make that physical connection, make the energetic connection, the physical connection. The trees are waiting for us, and right, like,
mm,
go beyond, sit there, right, like you're going to get the first hit, and I challenge all of you to sit longer, be giddy that you got something, but wait for what else you got. Right, like, I'm
mm,
not leaving till I see the next piece, because we're not used to sitting still long enough, and there's so much that wants to be revealed, and I'm so
mm,
grateful that I'm not alone as a tree talker, that there are so many more of us out there all the time, and we
mm.
don't have to have the hushed conversations anymore. And I'm grateful for that.
No, well, we're grateful for you. Thank you so much again for just your presence and your generosity in the way that you share and the heart in which you do it with. It's always just wonderful to have these
And you
conversations
and
with
your
you.
team, right? Like, you guys
Mhm.
see one part, I get to see behind the curtain. And I will tell you, it's
Mm.
not like this everywhere I go. But John and his team, they walk their talk. And
Your
that
team's
is
amazing.
such a gift. And I love it because it allows me to show up authentically. And I
Mhm.
know that this is a safe space for everyone. So thank you, John. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
it's my honor, truly, truly. Y'all, thank you all so much for being here as well. Y'all are amazing. I am so excited. And a deep exhale of just peace because I can feel what's growing inside all of us. Truly. There's so much goodness and beauty and authority in what we're choosing to create. And so thank you. Thank you for showing up and being here and saying yes to this amazing, wonderful life that we get to create together. Blessing each and every one of you, bowing down to your namaste, and I look forward to seeing y'all on the next call.